Getting set up for Art Basel, and this afternoon I'm going to go speak at a conference called Web3, inspire some people with excitement about where Web3 is going to take us and what the future holds. It's great that you guys have all come out and are excited about more than just crypto, but Web3, learning specifically what that's about, what it means, how you can participate, how you can contribute, and how you can actually make a real career out of what this next iteration of the internet's going to be. We don't know how it's defined. We don't know what those companies are that are going to be category leaders. And that's why all the people that come to these types of conferences, we all have this opportunity to be a real leader in Web3 and make a difference and make a really big impact. That's what I'm excited about, is to contribute to what Web3 is going to turn into. Because we're not quite there, but we will be soon. Today, I just want to share with you guys a little bit what specifically it takes to really dive in and be a pioneer in the digital media space. I dove into the digital technology space at the advent of the internet. 1997, I graduated college. In 97, right when the internet was taking off. And my first job was at the first ever online advertising agency. It was called Avenue A Media. One of the biggest digital transformations the world has ever seen, which is shifting from like an analog world to the digital space and having a front row seat to the internet taking over. It was really impactful, and I learned quite a bit from that. And so now I'm in this new company. There's 7 people, and we started to buy ads online. And I fortunately saved up a bit of money in college. I had an opportunity to invest. And this was back in right when the bubble was taking off, so everyone knew that internet stocks were doing well. I put all my money into this company, and I was fortunate enough that it actually went public. And so that kind of experience actually laid the foundation for what was to come, and my ability to be overly optimistic, overly opportunistic, because I had this extraordinary experience of this company going from 0 to being highly successful. And I came out of it with this optimism, feeling like every company is going to be amazing. And this opportunistic trait, which was I wanted to chase down every opportunity because I knew it was going to do well. We get beat up over time, but if you have the right attitude and you maintain that optimism and you chase down opportunities, you'll learn some things. So for that period of 10 years, I learned the next characteristic, which was really important for me, which was to be an operator. I started a dozen different companies, but after a while, you start learning what are the fundamentals required to start a business? What does it take to do something different, unique? What does it take to write a business plan, raise the money, hire the people, do the legal, sell a product, do the marketing, sell the business? And after 10 years, I had a lot of experience. And it really teed me up for the next adventure. Someone in 2013, a close friend of mine, shared with me about the blockchain. I didn't understand it. No one understood it. But this is where optimism kicked in. I'm like, sounds amazing. This is going to be huge. This is 2013. No one even understood it. However, I knew nothing about finance, really, and I knew absolutely nothing about cryptology, and let alone regulations and rules and what it would take to delve into a financial services company. But my friends and I were like, well, why don't we take the most highly regulated asset in the world, the dollar, something that's highly monitored, regulated, and there's lots of oversight. Take that, layer it onto this new technology that allows you to move any amount of it, anywhere in the world, instantly and for free, and do it anonymously. And this is where the operator kicked in, because I knew how to do all these things, even though they were all new to me. I knew the fundamentals. And so we started Tether. It's like, let's put real world currency on the blockchain, because now you can move this new type of currency, Bitcoin, this highly volatile currency based on code that no one really understands, no one's really trading. Let's, instead of just move Bitcoin on a blockchain, let's move dollars, euros, yen. And that really was the birth of Tether. It was the most successful tokenization of an asset of all time, because Tether still to this day is the most utilized cryptocurrency in the world. So after a few years of creating the technology for Tether, because we're the first people to really enable you to tokenize other assets on a blockchain, the concept came up, well, why don't we do something less regulated, less complicated, such as digital tokens that are programmable? So that led me to the next company, which turned out to be a company called BlockV. We created highly programmable digital tokens, which is actually the first ever platform for NFTs. So we created technology to make NFTs before there was a word NFT. And I've been deep in that space for many years now, and ideating on what the use cases are and what it really means for the future and for the future of the internet. The reason why I like this slide so much is because it shares a 14-year history of this massive roller coaster. And everyone in this room got on this roller coaster at one point in time because we're all here today. I got on in the beginning. What I like about this chart the most is each one of those lines is $1 trillion. It looks like this is a smooth ride, but it's highly volatile and it's been this massive roller coaster since day one, which in part is what makes it really exciting. It's really important to understand where we came from and how we got to Web3. The Bitcoin blockchain white paper was introduced in 2008. It took until about 2013 for it to get much action and much traction. Let's use this new technology to move real-world currencies. Let's bring some real utility. And the reason why Tether was so important, especially at that time, it's because in the beginning, if you're a trader, and that's really all there was to do with cryptocurrencies and the blockchain in the beginning was trade, you could only trade Bitcoin for Litecoin or Dogecoin or a handful of other currencies. And so you would go from one highly volatile currency to another highly volatile currency, which is a challenge for traders if you ever want to kind of sit on the sideline but keep your money in the system. So Tether enabled a dollar-based trading pair. It took another while for the next kind of use case to appear, which is Ethereum. Ethereum started in 2015. Instead of only doing the movement of currencies on a blockchain, let's create more complex transactions, smart contracts. Not until 2017 did the first use case come for Ethereum. And that use case is what we all know as ICOs. That's when we got the next real push, the next real amount of enthusiasm and money and awareness to blockchain was when the ICO craze hit. And why was that such a big craze? Why did the whole world get involved? And why was there so many people talking about it and so much money flowing in? There's a very easy answer. And that answer is because it was pure gambling. So for the first time, the whole world had access to kind of this amazing casino. Anyone who had an internet connection could buy some Ethereum and trade that for another token that might go up. And what it did is it brought a ton of awareness, a ton of people into the space because all this new money was being raised to create these companies. Block V, we did an ICO. And when I launched my ICO, within 3 months to starting marketing it to going out, I raised $22 million. It was, on one hand, the easiest money I've ever raised, and the other hand, the most difficult money that I've ever raised. And we raised $22 million and created a utility token, and we were one of the many ICOs, but we're one of the very few ICOs that still to this day has delivered on all its promises of its white paper. Its token is still in existence, and its technology is still being utilized. And there's some massive companies that were built on top of Block V. So I am proud of that ICO, but it's laid the foundation for what was to come. Because all this money poured into the ICOs, and then people realized, well, where's the value? We put money in companies that don't have a product. They only have a white paper. What's coming of it? And when that was realized, and a few other factors, it created this other big crash. And it took another 2 years for the next big run-up to take place. That's DeFi. Lots of awareness came around DeFi because, again, people were making tons of money. And in the beginning, a lot of these DeFi applications, it was just gambling. People would pour money in, there'd be a new token. It would provide a ton of yield. You'd put money in and try to pull your money out before the rug was pulled. It's an awful game. But it was a lot of fun for some people. A lot of people made tons of money. Other people lost money. But it brought, again, more awareness. And soon, more utility and more value will be demanded by people who don't just want to gamble. So that was DeFi. And DeFi laid the foundation for what you can do on top of a blockchain, which is financial services. It's a decentralized way. Instead of going to a bank, it's a way on a blockchain to do financial services. The easiest one is a loan. Think how hard it is to get a loan. It takes a couple months. You have to post a lot of collateral. You have to have great credit. And it's still hard to get a loan. But in the DeFi space, and with these new financial products, you can get a loan in 5 minutes by posting collateral. That's just one of the innovations that DeFi is going to lead to. And in the future, most all your financial services will be able to be done with this new financial infrastructure. But then after DeFi, we got NFTs, which is really kind of the step one into Web3 and why we're all here today. Back in 2020, NFTs exploded onto the scene. A lot of people are like, I don't get NFTs. It doesn't make sense to me. Why are these things so popular? NFTs and the buying, selling, and trading, it was gambling again. People just wanted to speculate. They wanted to make money. How can they buy something and have it go up? And so the people who didn't get it, they were overthinking it. It's like you do get it. People are gambling. That's the point. And that's what I call NFT 1.0. That's what attracted people. And the beauty of NFT 1.0 is for the first time, it attracted people outside of the financial world. Now you could just be a gamer or just want to have fun or just want to collect something and get involved in a community. Think of Bored Apes. It came out of nowhere. It's a picture of a crazy looking ape. Why is that popular? Because celebrities said so. Celebrities got behind it, and then a bunch of people made a bunch of money, and so more people got behind it, and then there's a million knockoffs because everyone else wanted to make as much money as they made in Bored Apes. It's speculation. It's gambling. We're now entering NFT 2.0, which is utility. But that brings us up to this peak frenziness that we had a while back. And that's when you started hearing about the metaverse. Because now that you have NFTs, people are saying, great, I've got a wallet. I've got cryptocurrencies. I've got these digital objects that are really cool. But how do I interact with them? How do I view them? What's next? And that's when the metaverse kind of came on the scene and people started hearing about, oh, there's now a 3D, there's an interactive environment, there's a better way to experience both the internet and your NFTs. And so you start hearing about the metaverse. But then what happened? COVID. So that's that first big drop there where we lost another $1 trillion in market cap. And then the government printed a couple $1 trillion and people are stuck at home, so they poured it into cryptocurrencies. They started buying and selling even more NFTs and doing a lot of crazy things with DeFi. And that run up added another $2 trillion where we peaked at $3 trillion in our market space. And this is when you start hearing about Web3. Because now we're at this peak state. Everyone's excited. So much money has been poured into this ecosystem. And the big difference here is instead of just crypto people and finance people, it's everybody. It's people who are interested in things outside of financial transactions. Then the metaverse came. And when you add all these things up, it lays the foundation for Web3 and what's to come. However, this crash that we just experienced, coming from that peak down, is much different than the dozen or so crashes that we've had in the past, but the 5 significant ones. Because in the past, when the crypto market crashed, it was because people sold Bitcoin. They just got out of Bitcoin, put it in cash, or put it somewhere else. So there's macroeconomic conditions. People removed money from the market. However, this time around, an entire new industry was built on this market. DeFi, all these other companies, all these exotic financial products, all these derivatives and the ability to do leverage, and it poured tons and tons of money into the market.